What do you want to end this on?
As like the woman's perspective here, I would say I would want to encourage every woman to try it. I think a lot of women, they look at what I do and they're like, oh, that's so cool, but I could never do that. And I'm like, I'm not a naturally strong person. I started at the bottom. I train women who their first day, they're stronger than I was like a year in. So I'm like, I'm not special. I just had to work really hard. And whenever I train people at the gym, I'm like, do you want to do the stones? Do you want to do the log? Like, you can do anything you want to do here. Like, don't be intimidated by it. Like,
Welcome to the Work Hard People's Podcast. I have to tell you, I'm very excited about this one. I've actually been counting down the days, and we appreciate all you. I hope everybody out there is doing great, having a great time. We appreciate the likes, the subscribes. Please keep doing it. But we have some special guests. This is going to be a Work Hard People's Coaches Roundtable, and we have great people here. So first, we have Miss Valerie Valentino, the very beautiful Miss Valerie Valentino, who we love. We have her husband, JW, correct?
Yep.
He's also pretty sexy, if I have to say so myself. I'd marry him, just saying. And then we got, I gotta say it, Matt. You know I gotta say it. We got powerlifter extraordinaire, Matt freaking Deakins. Right? So, how is everybody doing today? You guys doing good?
Great.
oh yeah.
Yep. Doing good.
Fantastic. That's awesome. I'm very thankful for you guys to come on with us. I think it's very interesting to take on the different perspectives, right? So I know that you do, Valerie, you do strong women competitions. Valerie's told me that JW, you coach that aspect. Matt does powerlifting competitions. I kind of consider myself more like a power bodybuilder. I like to lift heavy stuff. I just like to do it for lots of reps. And then, but the disciplines are so different. And I thought it would be a great perspective to discuss a little bit about nutrition for powerlifting versus strongman, strongwoman competition, the actual training, because even powerlifting and strongwoman competition, you're lifting heavy things, but powerlifting, it's a one rep deal, bam, done, right? Where when you take the strongman side of it, you need that endurance because you're doing things over and over again with heavy things. And then the bodybuilding perspective is, how juicy can I get my muscles, right? How 3D can we get it? And I thought it would be a great perspective to discuss those three different views and actually how they can work together. I think is an interesting aspect as well, because there is some crossover. Am I wrong there? Does anybody disagree with me on that?
No, I agree.
100% agree.
So Matt's a frequent flyer on the show, and we love Matt. But I want to dive in. First of all, Valerie has a great story, and she's agreed to come on and talk about that story. But that'll be next month. We're not touching that today. We're going to save that info for down the road. Today we're going to discuss coaching. But how does that JW? I know she said that you have been coaching strongman for a minute. How did you get involved in that?
Kind of just got pushed into it by some other people around me in the gym that I was going to that really motivated me and told me, you might be good at this, you should try it. And I've always been very involved with different aspects of training. I've kind of done it all. I've done like the CrossFit, got really into like the calisthenics, came up through playing college football. So I know a lot about like the sport specific training and stuff like that. So I've kind of done it all. And just wasn't, I wasn't competing at the time. And I moved up to Williston, North Dakota to get into the oil field. So I've always had my coaching kind of on a side hustle, I guess if you want to call it that. So a lot of virtual coaching because of that, and you know, in person when I can. You know, I try to give as much as I can to people. But so, anyways, really, I was just training at this gym, and we're lucky enough in Williston, North Dakota, to have a strongman gym here. You know, and
that's awesome.
It's a really special place. You know, like you don't find one of these gyms anywhere. You know, like it's really hard to find a gym like this in a lot of places. So. And the two owners, they're strongman competitors, very successful strongman competitors. Well, anyway, so so I started training for one, right? And did my first competition, loved it, got addicted, didn't know. So I've really just kind of continued down the path of that. But with all of my experience in the past, it all kind of made it come together with strongman, because like you were saying, it's not just really just strongman training. It's heavy lifting. It's very functional. You also do include that bodybuilding in there, because that does have its role in there too, right? So it kind of brought all that together for me, and I created a love and passion for it through that. So
that's awesome. And I know, Matt, like you, man, you recently changed gyms. I mean, not recent like yesterday, but you know, in the not too distant past, and you started learning a lot of stuff about just different ways to train for powerlifting, because you used to pretty much do everything raw, right?
Yeah, so I used to do everything raw, and when I was at my last gym, it was let's just say a strength training gym, not specific to powerlifting or strongman or CrossFit. It had implements of all of it mixed in, and almost like very little bodybuilding. If you want to use that as a stereotype, we'll call it here. But yeah.
Are you saying I'm a stereotype, Matt?
We're all stereotypes.
We all are.
You're not alone. So it was definitely different. But you know, now we're going in there and you have different crews that run through, and some of them are raw lifters and think, you know, the powerlifting gear is stupid. And you have others who are geared lifters who think doing anything raw is stupid. So, you know, I personally fall somewhere in the middle. Depends on how close to a meet I am, but you know, there's definitely two different camps at our gym.
Yeah, I feel like people do choose sides when it comes
to
raw and quit lifting.
Yep.
I hate it. I don't know why we can't all just get along, because everybody's trying to work on their discipline. You know, I train people that just want to lose weight. I train people that are looking to get stronger, and I actually have guys that I train for shows, for bodybuilding shows, and it is very different. But I don't understand why people can't accept it. Like I have some friends at my local gym, right? They're big into powerlifting, and the fact that I use straps on back day, they hate it. Right. But I'm like, listen, bro, what you're not understanding is I can literally let go of the bar. And when I do, it takes my forearm and my bicep engagement out, and I can squeeze my back like I could never do with if I don't use straps, because now I'm having to hold the bar myself. It's a different discipline, right? In bodybuilding, we're looking for that 3D round muscle. You know, you want to be popping on stage. And I try to explain that to people, and sometimes they don't quite understand. And I tell them, I'm like, listen, go look at a strongman or a power lifter, and then look at a bodybuilder's physique. Look at just the chest muscles, the way they're developed. Mm-hmm. Bodybuilder and a strongman, their chest muscles look like plates of armor, right? They're like these big plates, just full strength. It's just there. It's like this big plate, where a bodybuilder's like, it's like juicy. It's like big 3D. Yeah. It's a totally different aspect.
Right. Yep.
Right.
But yeah, we can get onto that topic and talk about that all day. You brought up the bench press. You brought up straps. You know, I had a YouTube short the other day get like 5,000 views in the first hour, and there were two idiots on there who jumped in and said, "If you're gonna do the exercise, do it right. You're not using any of your chest in that." And I'm like, okay, I'm wearing a bench press shirt. First of all, there's no chest anywhere in a bench press shirt. It's called spade a spade. So the fact that their first thought is, you're not doing the bench press right when a bodybuilder will do a bench press, powerlifter will do a bench press, CrossFitters will do a bench press, and they'll all be different.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, in bodybuilding, we're always looking to target the muscle that we're training as much as possible and taking everything out of it, right? It's the same reason, like, I still, like I said, I kind of consider myself a little bit of mostly bodybuilding training, but a little bit of powerlifting in there. But when I like do actual barbell bench, the bar never touches my chest. And the point of that is I stop about an inch, 2 inches short, and I stop at the top an inch or 2 inches short. And I do it because I'm trying to maximize the amount of stress that I put into the chest muscles, right?
Yep.
So where a bodybuilder or I mean a power lifter or a strongman, it has nothing to do with stressing that particular muscle. It's, listen, I got to get this from point A to point B, and I don't care how I get it there. I just got to get it there, right? So Valerie, how did you, that's what I want to know, how did you get into Strongwoman competition? Because I think it's great. I love your Instagram, by the way, everybody. Instagram, Powerlifting Princess. Check her out. She is fantastic. I love watching you like lift heavy shit over stuff. Sorry, but the Atlas balls and you do the Atlas stones, you do the bags over the bar. I love it. Well, how'd you get into Strongwoman?
So I originally was a power lifter. So I started powerlifting. I guess I still am a power lifter. But I started dating this guy, and he was in the strongman.
He ruined you. I got you.
Yeah, so he kind of pulled me over, and I was like, well, teach me. And it was really interesting because I got like pretty good at powerlifting, like really understanding the form and the technique, and I was like good at it, Yeah. And then I go over to strongman. I'm like, well, I should be good at this too, right? I'm just lifting heavy stuff. And I was not good at it. It was completely different. And it was really weird for me. I'm like, I'm in the gym. This is where I belong. And it seems foreign. So I really had to kind of start from square one. Like I look at old videos of me doing like axle clean and press, and it's just like a baby deer. Like it's embarrassing. So he really got me into that. And I know that strongman makes you a better power lifter, but powerlifting doesn't make you a better strongman. So I was like, I can just do strongman. It's just all it's going to do is make me stronger. It's not going to hurt my powerlifting. So that's how I got into it. And now I'm just like in love with it. It's so fun. And it honestly just gives you so much confidence. I think especially for a woman, like lifting heavy just gives you so much confidence.
I love that you said that. You're friends with Ashley Butler.
Yeah. Yep.
I love that girl. When I first came across her, she was a little twig.
Yep.
Right? Just starting. And I watched her transform herself into, like, I watched her prepare for, obviously not in person because I'm not in the Dakotas, but I watched her on, through Facebook and Instagram prepare herself for her first tournament. She went out there and blew records away. She has turned herself from this little tiny thing into like, I will beat your ass.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Love that. I love it. I love it to death. It's one of the things I love about Matt as well. If you guys don't follow Matt freaking Deakins on Instagram, you need to, because he lifts with an enthusiasm that I love, right? I like to see people doing great things. I like to see people pushing themselves. That's what first drew me to Matt. It's one of the first things that drew me to Valerie, which led me to you, JW, as well. When you are out there doing great things and testing your limits, people need to know about that. They need to see it, right? And like that's the whole premise of this podcast. I'm not necessarily looking to bring the top dog onto this podcast. I want to bring the people out there that are grinding every day just to make themselves better and highlight their stories. And that's what Matt does. That's what you guys are doing. And it is fun to watch. It is fun to watch those transformations. It's been, Matt, dude, you have gone, when I first started watching you, you were lifting, we can't really call them baby weights because you're strong as hell, but now you're up, like you're ready to break some national records in powerlifting competitions. So how has that journey been for you? What has the training been like to get you to that point?
I mean, I would say that anybody who's trying to maximize their strength, they have to have the discipline of not only understanding what you need to do in the gym, but what you need to do outside the gym to prep yourself for the gym. And that sounds silly because you're like, oh, you're in the gym for 60, 90 minutes and you're outside. So of my 4 training days a week, that's what, an hour and a half times 4 is 6 hours a week. So of all the rest of the time I'm not there, I have to do what I have to do to make sure that when I show up there, that I'm ready to give it my all for 90 minutes 4 times a week. And whether it's like today where I did upper body volume, where I literally probably did about 500 reps overall, or like what I'll do next weekend where it's probably 100 max, and I'll go for a new personal record in some kind of movement. You have to understand what you need to do so that when you show up, your body is right. And regardless of what the training is, which I'll get into in a second, you have to, if you're in a garbage state going in, it's the old adage, garbage in, garbage out, right? Same thing with food, same thing with recovery. The best training is going to come if you're fully recovered. And once I figured that out after, a year of fumble farting around, I can train 7 days a week and screw recovery. I'm not overtraining, except for the fact that I need to then take a month off because I have no desire to do anything. What is that doing then? But training evolution, going even from my last gym to this gym, is very different because every max is with some form of gear on that. I very rarely do a raw max, not against that, just this different coach's style. And so since his theory is if I'm competing with gear on, I need to learn how to use it so I can maximize the gear I'm in. While I understand that, training raw is very different. So I do all my accessory movements raw, but all the major movements, if I'm going to test like a different deadlift variation or bench variation or squat variation, there's some form of gear on, whether it's briefs and a squat suit or deadlift suit or briefs or a bench shirt or a slingshot or some kind of something like that. There's something different in there, and that's an overload from where you're normally at, where you are raw. And I'll be honest, it taxes the nervous system pretty good. A couple times I've gotten kind of there, but
both those disciplines tax the nervous system far greater than bodybuilding does.
And that's
bodybuilding can tax the nervous system, but not like strongman and powerlifting. It's not the same.
Yeah, and so like the volume days, are very close to a bodybuilding style mixed with some powerlifting movements. Like James, for example, you would never do a JM press because you would do a skull crusher or a close grip bench press, right?
Correct.
In powerlifting, we're sitting here like, okay, we have 6 exercises to do today. Throw a JM press in there, and guess what? You're getting the best of 2. So it's a little different. And I would say the exercises from bodybuilding to powerlifting are very different from that perspective. It's more about efficiency and making sure you can be able to move the bar in a specific pathway, we'll say, throughout multiple movements.
Pathway, real quick, Matt, before you get past that, pathway is important, and I bring this up because I think it's important in all 3 disciplines. So I want to hear from everybody on this. So in bodybuilding, we're really focused on the structure of the muscle fibers, right? So like the chest is a clamshell muscle, right? It attaches down here, and the fibers come up like this. So when you could do a movement where you're engaging the entire chest and firing those fibers all the way through bicep, where does it attach, right? How are you going to get the best contraction out of that muscle, right? And I'm sure with powerlifting, like you talked about, the pathway, because the pathway allows you to engage the chain, right? Where you're engaging, if you're doing bench press, you got your chest, front delts, triceps, lats, everything is engaging at the right moment to maximize that lift. How does that work in strongman? Because I am not as familiar with the chain engagement with strongman as I am with powerlifting and bodybuilding. I want to hear from you, JW. How does that work?
So strongman is very similar in the aspect of it's very technical, like in powerlifting, huge on the technique, because a lot of these lifts, they're weird lifts, right? So it's best to figure out the best technique for those lifts to give you the most efficiency for that lift, right?
Yeah.
So with strongman training, I think it brings in that functionality to the lifting, versus, your powerlifting, which is, you're in that just plain straight up, just right there. You're not really moving
Point
around
A to
much.
point B, right?
Right. Yep. And if for strongman, now you got to move around with weight too. And then you have all these weird implements that don't really go along with barbell training, at all. So, a lot of my barbell training with my strongman training, because you can't, it's not realistic to sit there and just do Atlas stones every week, right? If you're going to do if you have a competition coming up and that's one of the events, it doesn't work out that great to do Atlas stones every single week. So you try to implement some barbell training in there that's going to, carry over and reflect off that, right? So a lot of my stuff with my barbell training is very similar movement patterns to those strongman events. But I think really understanding how the body works in the best way, in a functional way, to be able to train those patterns without putting your body into like cringy, unsafe positions all the time, right? For example, doing like an axle clean and press. If you're the type of person that's going to do a continental clean on that axle, I've seen some ugly ones and they just grind them out, right? So, really understanding how the body works and what muscles you need to use properly in those certain positions is super important, right? So just the anatomy of the body, I think, and what that has really helped me with is also training the bodybuilding aspect of it and learning how those muscles work together, because the body works as a chain, right? It all works together. So a lot of your strongman lifts are that, you're using, and same in powerlifting, you're using the whole body in all your lifts, right? Even down to the foot strength, right? So bodybuilding, I would say, probably doesn't care about barefoot training as much, but it should, because the body works as a chain, and you want everything to be strong and work properly together, right? So this stuff like that, and making sure you're not putting the body and the joints based off what that joint is in that lift into a dangerous situation just to make the lift. It's good to grind them out. It's good to, because a lot of these strongman lifts, you're going to have people that do them a little bit differently and are very successful in those lifts. But you still have to be smart about it and understand how your body structure is going to carry over to that lift the best way, to where you're not getting your shoulders beat up all the time and your hips and your knees and stuff like that. So
JW, you said something very important there. Before I kick it back to you, Matt, I want to highlight this. So you said your body structure.
Right.
And that is very, very important, because when I work with clients, I talk to, like, the clients I work with in person, I'm very hands-on, right? I'm very touching the muscle, trying to figure out what is the pathway that best contracts that muscle for them. Because our bodies are different, right? Our femur lengths are different. So squat pattern's going to be different. Bench pattern's going to be different because of your shoulder mobility, or there. I mean, there's all these different factors. So I'm very hands-on with that. But that is, people, I'm telling you right now, it is very important if you're going to work with a coach, and this is a coach's corner, so I want to bring this up. If you're going to work with a coach, you need to find a coach that is going to work within your framework of your body, your motion, your anatomy.
Yes.
Because everybody is different. My coaching is done. I do not do cookie cutter coaching here at Work Hard Peoples. We do not do that. Everything I do is very customized to the individual and their goals. And those first several weeks when I'm working with a new client is all about figuring out their range of motion, their mobility. Where is it targeting their muscle, right? Not, hey, do this 5 times, eat this, and I'll call you in a week. That's not what I do. Everything I do is very customizable, right? Matt's over there shaking his head, because there are coaches out there like that, right? Their only thing, they're trying to see how much dollars they can get in their bank account. But my goal as a coach, and I have coached, 32 years now. My goal as a coach is to give the information to people so that they no longer need me. And you will not hear coaches say that, but that is my goal. I want to give them the
That's how we
nutrition
are.
information. I
You
want to
preach
give
that
them
thing, man.
that is exact. I want them to be able to do for themselves. So,
Right.
Matt, kicking it back to you, and that chain of, real quick, just to lead back into you. I have clients that one of the biggest questions I have is on their chest day because I program their workouts or their warm ups, right? Their biggest question, my chest warm up has to do with arm circles, rotator cuff work, some tricep work, a little bit of lat work, and that's where I get the kickback. You're like, what do you mean? Well, why do I got to warm up my lats? I was like, do you not realize how engaged your lats get? If you're properly, even as a bodybuilder, properly engaging the core and arching that spine and locking it in and getting those lats flexed, how important that is to contract the chest. So you want to warm those up because you don't want to, do something cranky, right? So the chain, Matt, go with that.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with the bench press there, because my worst bench press days come when my lats aren't warmed up, and it feels like crap to start because I'm like, doing the classic, let's get on our upper back so that we have this massive arch that looks completely unrealistic to everyone. That's not doing anything except, in a powerlifting sense, moving from point A to point B in the shortest path with the greatest strength. So training that, loading the lats there, my best bench presses have come when my lats are cooking.
Yeah.
So between that and then you go to the just started using an inverse curl recently. We got one of those in the gym, and you see one of those and you're like, oh, that doesn't look that bad, and you add the weight on as the counterbalance, so naturally you to have the most strength you have no weight loaded. And well, let's just say that I've seen one person in our gym use less than a 45.
Right.
And then there's people like me who have 140 on there when I'm doing 8. And I've seen some people who one guy I know, he's one of the pro powerlifters in the gym. He's got a 1,086-pound squat, and he has 250 pounds loaded.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Matt, you talked about the arch. One of the things I notice in my own training, right, is when I get that good arch, when I really get my chest out in front and it gets my delts pulled back, my chest will fire. I mean, it is burning when I get to the end of my set. A lot more than if I keep a flat neutral back, right?
Absolutely.
When I get up and I get that chest out in front and get them delts behind, it's like they don't engage as much. My chest, like, it is burning. I'm done.
But I will say, when it comes to the bench press, the best gains I got in the bench press are doing anything but bench press.
Oh, yeah.
And most of the time is nothing to do with chest workouts at all. Mm-hmm. It's all either upper back or like rotator cuff or, upper back and lat movements that have just, once you build that, cause I envision my bench press as pushing, the floor away from the bar, not moving the bar. And so to me, I feel more pushing and more the engagement in the back end instead
aren't the shoulders kind of really the weak link in bench press? Is that, do you guys find that, JW, you find that the shoulders, to me, for at least the type of training I do, the shoulders are the weak link when it comes to that.
Yeah, I think, the main thing I hear with guys bench pressing, I don't want to just say guys, but people bench pressing have problems with the bench press is their shoulders hurt, right? They hurt their shoulders, right? And that's basically just going back to what Matt was saying about how important that upper back, movement is with that motion of that press. That's your base of your press, right? So if you're not using that upper back to go to do that press, you're going to force all that tension to the front side of that shoulder, and then you have one of the weakest joints in your body, which is the most mobile, which is going to make it a weaker joint, is taking on all that weight, right? Instead of utilizing all that big upper power that you have, in your back to get yourself through that press. So I think, really, the shoulders, they don't play a huge part in the bench press. and I don't think they should, right? You should get a lot of that front delt out of the bench press, but at the same time, like I said, you don't want to force all that tension to that front delt because it's not going to be able to handle all that weight all the time, right? So that's when you get guys like, oh, I don't bench press anymore because I hurt my shoulders. It's like, well, you probably weren't bench pressing right in the first place anyways, and you were focused on how big your front delts are going. And then these guys are sitting here looking like this, nice and big, telling me they can't bench press, but they got rolled shoulders, you know.
Yeah, they're hunched over, no good posture.
And usually they do have big shoulders too, you know. So it's like
it's like they're
right, you know. So
who said that? Who was it? There was a coach that talked about that. I don't know. I don't think it was Hani, but it was a bodybuilding coach, and they were talking about when you over accentuate the front side of your body and you get that, like you're talking about that, them shoulders rolled in and you're kind of hunched over. It's because you have a weak back. You need to.
Right.
It controls your posture, your spine, your spinal erectors, all that stuff. People, they just don't realize how important all over body development is.
Yeah.
Everything needs to be strong because it's going to give you the best posture. It's going to make you feel better, right? Usually when I have someone say, yeah, I have a lot of lower back issues, they're usually like this all the time. You know, they're just kind of like sagging. They don't train that stuff.
Or no glutes.
Right. No, yeah.
Or their glutes, right?
Anything on the posterior chain, right?
I think it's the most important for a lot of things, like Matt was talking about, even when it comes to bench press, right? I mean, people just underestimate. They don't realize how important the lats are in that movement. Yeah. People don't realize even squat, Matt. I mean, how important is your lower back and your spinal erectors when it comes to a big squat?
It's pretty much essential.
Right?
And I've actually been told recently that my squat can get up exponentially as soon as my lower back doesn't suck. So I'm sitting here like, like I train lower back all the time, like 3, 4, 5 different movements, multiple times a week, you know, consistent growth. But naturally, I mix some in and out. I'm like, damn, I think my lower back's pretty good. I haven't had back pain in years. And then I watch my squat, and the guy goes, well, if your lower back didn't suck, you could probably squat another 100 pounds. I'm saying, like, what do you mean?
That's funny. Hey, let's do a quick transition here. We've been talking about training a little bit. I want to dive in a little bit before we have to close this thing down about nutrition. I obviously I understand most people have a very difficult time understanding the importance of nutrition, right? Because nutrition is truly the key to everything that all of us do, whether it be strongman, bodybuilding, powerlifting. Nutrition is 100% the key. That is what is going to build the muscle, fuel the body, give you the energy for the workouts. And people, they just don't take it seriously, right? Like I have clients all the time like, well, I got to do a bunch of crunches to get abs. No, you need to eat better and lose that body fat. That's how you get abs. You want to keep your core strong, but doing crunches is not what's going to give you abs. Abs are created in the kitchen, period. Core strength is created in the gym, but that's a whole different ball game from abs. And I think people think that, I'm going to train core. Well, what are you doing for core? I'm going to do a bunch of crunches. I'm going to do a bunch of this and that, and everything has to do with the abs. Well, okay. What about the sides of your core? What about the back of your core? What about your diaphragm, which is a huge part of the core, right? When it comes to bracing and preparing to lift heavy things. People just don't take that opportunity. So let's look at nutrition a little bit. I want to talk with you guys, Valerie, JW. What is your nutrition like when you are preparing for a competition? Like Valerie, you're preparing for a competition next month, right?
We both are. We're both going to compete.
You're both competing? Great. So what's your nutrition like right now as you prepare for that?
One, making sure we're not in a deficit, because we're trying to gain strength and like have enough energy when we go into the gym to give it 100%. We're really big on health and like giving our body what it needs to feel its best and perform its best. So like we never really go on like a diet, or we don't have to change too much when we start training, because we just try to eat whole foods and like good foods that our body is going to perform well on. We think it's really strange when people are like performance athletes and then they put garbage in their body, because we're like, you're not going to perform well. Like there's people that say like, oh, all calories are calories. And we're like, no, they're not. Like you can't go to McDonald's and eat something and then perform well, even if it's the same amount of calories as you got from like a homemade meal. Like it's not the same. So it's really important to us, like when we're going to the gym and every day, really just to give ourselves good food. It's going to help us feel good. And also like I said, not being in a deficit, you know, like I just had my second baby a few months ago. And like part of me wants to like cut a little more body fat, but we have a competition in 3 weeks. So like, that's not really on my radar right now. Like performance is more on my radar and being as strong as I can. And then after the competition, then if I want to cut a little bit, then I can prioritize that a little bit more.
Valerie, that is so important when you talk about the food that you put in your body, because I'm telling you right now. So just to give you an idea, I'm preparing 2 dudes for a show in November. I am actually cutting with them. I'm 50, almost 51 and a half. I am going to try and get as close to stage shape, and I have no desire to get on a stage. Just saying, none. It's not me. I like going to the gym. The gym is my Prozac, right? It's like an antidepressant to me. I go to the gym because it makes me feel good. I like to look good in a t-shirt. I don't care if I look good with the shirt off. As long as my wife loves me, I'm happy, right? So, but I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut as hard as I can. But the last couple of weeks, so my mom came out to visit. I've been having a little fun, right? I've eaten a little bit, some stuff that I probably shouldn't have eaten the last couple of weeks. And I can feel the difference in my body. I haven't been crazy with the calories. Like, I think I gained 3 pounds, right? Like, not in the last 2 weeks. Nothing insane. It's not like I've been going insane with the calories. But the way I feel like, ugh.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to eating whole foods, clean, lean proteins, good vegetables, clean carbohydrates. And when I eat that way, I feel great. I have energy. I sleep better, all those things. And people have no idea what those things do to their body. I love that you brought that up because it is so important. And then you guys, wait, let's pump this real quick. You guys have your own juice company, right?
Yeah.
And what's that?
It's
Talk
called
about
Jack
it real
and
quick.
Juice. It's called Jack and Juice. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the Jack on the juice.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
right.
So, it's really cool, you know, and really, so I owned a meal prep company at one time also. So I've been in that game, right? And then Valerie and I actually started another like kind of bulk style meal prep company we ran for a little bit. And now we're doing the juice thing, right? And the Jack and Juice. So the one thing we do a little different than most juice companies is we include these add-ins with our juices. And so we do like creatine, high quality, and they're all like really high quality stuff.
Folic
acid, which, you know, just gives you tons of minerals and like helps you detox, boost your immune system.
The milk thistle
for, you know.
Oh yeah, for the liver. Yeah.
Yep. You know, what I say, creatine, collagen, protein. You know, and like we do like a clean caffeine one too and stuff like that. So basically just we're trying to gear it towards like, you know, I think most juice companies that they're all like, you know, they're kind of
very like feminine and like focused towards just women.
Right,
so
right.
When I like created the logo and created the business, and it's both of us, I wanted to be like appealing to men and women. And I wanted to appeal also to like athletes and people in the gym. Like cold press shoes isn't just for like hippies dancing in the sun. Like it's really good for like performance and feeling well. And we have so many people come in the store and they're like, I'm addicted. I can't stop drinking it. I feel so good. And I'm like, I look at him like, do we put drugs in here? Because people act like we put drugs in here.
Right.
And it's just they're getting all those nutrients and available vitamins and minerals that their body wants, and they feel so good. And you can't get that from pasteurized juice. And
you need to get that stuff down here in Alabama so we can have some too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been so awesome.
Can you order it from you guys?
No, so there's like if we send it over state lines, the FDA gets more involved, and like there's some rules and stuff we have to go through.
We're getting there.
Well, hey, we'll still get the. Hey, make sure, Valerie, email me the link for your business? Because we'll definitely put it in the description
Yeah, for
and
sure.
let people know. And that because it's trust me, I've seen the ads you guys do on Instagram and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't mind trying to taste that. It looks delicious. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's really good, man. Well, hey, also another thing that I think is we're getting ready to kick it over to Matt here to talk about powerlifting nutrition real quick, but Matt does something that's awesome, and he throws out these nuggets every week. You guys got to subscribe to this. He calls it "Keep It Stupid Simple," right? We've all heard KISS, "Keep It Simple" or "Keep It Simple Stupid," right? But he does "Keep It Stupid Simple." And he puts out this newsletter with these little nuggets of just gold. And I love it because I get it every week, and it's like a 3-minute read. And but it's just got these great nuggets. Like the one that you did last week was there was one recently you did, but the one you did last week on um uh caloring I can't even say it right now. Calendaring your day. Just preparing yourself, right? And it doesn't matter if it's lifting, nutrition, whatever, right? Set a schedule. Put those things in place because it eliminates conflict, right? We can be so whether it comes to nutrition, lifting, whatever, we can get so caught up in, oh, this is drawing my attention. This is drawing my attention. Oh, I'm doing this. This is important. But oh, wait. This is calling me now. But when we calendar and structure our day, like Matt said in his article, it allows us to control our time. And what I find when I calendar, because I've always been a big calendar, right? When I do that, I find that I have more time in my day to do some of those things that before I'm like, I do not have time for this.
Yep.
But when I structure it, so definitely you guys should check that out, and we'll post that link as well. But Matt, nutrition, powerlifting, what's the difference? What do you think the difference is? Go ahead.
It's a perfect segue because speaking of calendaring your day, for me, what I actually do is I put in meetings of when I need to eat. If I know that I'm going to be going time, I need to block off time to make sure I eat because there's times where, next thing I know, I'm over here, over there, over there, over there, over there. 3 phone calls, 12 emails. Holy shit, it's 1 p.m. and I ate it last at 6:30. So I have to do that. And the things I eat usually as a powerlifter, it's pretty basic. Some form of meat. I personally like leaner meat. That digest leaner meats better. And to stink up the office, I make sure I do all fish. No, I'm kidding. But I do heat it up every once in a while. People go, well, Deakins is eating. But leaner meats mixed with white rice. Sounds so silly, so basic. But you know what? I digest rice so well that anytime I have corn, I know I don't digest it. If I have anything that's a corn product, my stomach hurts. I'm bloated. My wife tells me to go take a nap out in the shed because the scents are horrible just from all the indigestion. And it's terrible. So I avoid corn and summertime, perfect. Let's put corn on the cob on the grill. I'll pass things. But they actually make these things at Costco. One of my weekly highlights on the newsletter is like little heat up single serve rices. So you can literally peel it back, put it in 90 seconds. Is it the purest form of rice that you can buy in a bag and make yourself? No, but it's convenient as all hell. So if you don't have or you don't like to make bulk rice and then have it sit and get hard, it's an easy end. But the one thing, speaking of nutrition, powerlifters get an interesting rap, right? The big thing is don't ever cut too much weight for a comp if it's a local comp. If you're doing like big national competitions, different story, right? Or if you're trying to set records, different story. So for me, last meet, I cut 21 pounds in 31 days to make weight and ended up hurting myself. We can all sit and debate whether or not that was a part of it or not. Who knows, potentially. But my goal this time is not to have to do that. So I'm hovering in the, 5 to 8 to 10 pounds over. I might enjoy a weekend here, but then the next week it's clean and I'm back within my 5 to 8 pound striking distance where, you know what? It'll take me, if I just took a month and cleaned up, I would have no issues making any kind of weight and the world wouldn't end. But there was one guy, funny story, and this is part of the bad rep that powerlifters get with nutrition. is there was one guy, he works nights. So he comes in, we're in there about to do a squat session on Saturday morning. He comes in his work clothes and his speedway bag. I'm like, oh, okay, guy's got to eat something real quick before he does squats. I'm like, yeah, I could see that. He opens up and there's 4 donuts from Speedway. There's a big tall boy Red Bull, fully leaded tall boy Red Bull, and he starts chowing down on these donuts. He kills 2 donuts and goes, okay, time to get the pre-workout. He pulls out his C4 double dry scoop, chasing it with a fully leaded Red Bull.
Oh yeah.
Finishes the 2 donuts, and then in 30 minutes squats 900 pounds in a suit and doesn't puke. I've never seen anything like that. But that's the exact example. That is the exact example of the bad rep the powerlifters get.
It's
Imagine if he ate good food. Like, imagine how well he would perform if he fed himself things his body wants.
Yeah, because processed sugar is the absolute worst thing you can put in your body.
And I had never seen anything like that. I've seen guys squat heavy. I watched my first powerlifting meet. I watched a guy squat 1,045. And, then he went over there and pounded 3 packs of those little blueberry Little Debbie muffins. And I'm like, what the hell is this? This is interesting. I've never seen anything like this. I've also never seen a guy do what I just explained and then go and squat 800 pounds and not throw up and feel, oh, okay, well, time to have breakfast.
Right.
Like, what
man, when it comes to nutrition, when I eat clean foods, I feel better, period.
Yeah.
In every way.
And for me, you know what? There's no better reason to eat clean foods than go to the gym and you're about to do heavy deadlift of some variation, or a heavy squat of some variation, whether it's chains, bands, straight bar, insert any other bar that I use. And you have 3 people spotting you. That's the biggest thing in the gym is safety first. So we've got a person behind you and one on each side. There is nothing more embarrassing than spotting someone and farting on them because your stomach is so distressed, right? I've never done it, but I've seen someone do it to someone while I was on the side.
That might be the intro to the show. I'm just saying. That might be the intro to the show.
Yep.
And if I wouldn't have witnessed all of that in my short time at this gym, I wouldn't have learned some of the things I've learned. Like, going out and enjoying a pizza on Friday night on date night is kind of nice, except for the fact that you are now puckering your cheeks for an hour while running a squat session the next day. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, the food, and that's what I talk to my clients about mainly when we discuss nutrition. And I don't care what kind of client they are. If they're just a client wanting to lose weight, a bodybuilding client, just someone that just wants to get better, I talk to them about nutrition and the discussion, because I don't do, like my coaching, I do not lay out meal plans specifically. Now, my bodybuilders, we get a little bit more detailed in what they're going to eat, right? But your average Joe, my goal is to teach them about nutrition, teach them to understand macros and nutrients and how they affect the body, right? I want them to learn. I don't want them to just go eat what I tell them to eat. I want them to learn nutrition. But I talk to them about experimenting with foods, about when we first start together, I talk to them about limiting their diet to a few simple things. 1 or 2 lean proteins, 1 carbohydrate source, 1 vegetable source, and keeping it as clean as possible, and then starting to add things in to experiment. And I do that because my main focus is I say, listen, you want to be able to consume the food. It needs to be something that you can get down, right? It can't be disgusting to you or you're not going to stick to it. So you need to be able to consume it, number 1. Number 2, you need to be able to digest it. It needs to work in the body and not leave you bloated and gassy and feeling lethargic and tired and just a mess. That's number 2. And number 3, you need to be able to eliminate it. And if one of those 3 things are off, if you can't consume it, you can't digest it, or you can't eliminate it, we need to find a different food source.
Yeah.
And you need to find what works good for you. And when I eat clean, when I eat the foods that I know work in my body, they taste good. I can eat them. They digest well. I don't feel bloated or heavy or gassy, and I can eliminate them so I don't feel backed up or, any of those things. And it's so important because we're all different, right? We all process foods differently. It's so important to find the foods that work for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then and on that note, it's like for me, I'm a person who so my wife's vegetarian, I'll call it. She's vegan at home and vegetarian if we go out, because there's not many places in Northwest Ohio that are vegan friendly. They're vegetarian friendly, but not vegan friendly. So she's vegetarian out and vegan at home. So we eat very different things, and she's got every vegetable you can think of under the sun. So try this, try that. I don't know what the hell this is. This can't taste good. So, you find what works and you stick with it. For me, I like asparagus. So probably the only green vegetable I can say I like. I like asparagus. I mean, I don't like what some of the side effects, like, the rubber piss smell, but that's okay. That's one thing I can get over, but it works for me, and I use it and I eat it. I can also tell when I go a week on vacation without eating, and all of the micronutrients you're missing from something as basic as one green thing that's going to cost you 45 calories a day. It's amazing, just the total difference you can feel from that.
Yeah, I think for all of the sports, bodybuilding is probably the best at it, because you can't get away with the excuse, oh, I'm lifting heavy weight, so I'm going to eat big to lift big, right? Which is a huge problem in the strongman community. I just see it all the time. Like, no, I have to be fat to lift heavy weight. That is not true ever. You're putting your body under other stressors that are not going to give it optimal performance. But eating for a purpose, what is your purpose, right? All of us are going to be for optimal performance, right? In all of these sports. And I mean, like, I see it a lot in CrossFit. I see these people doing these crazy intense workouts, burning tons of calories, and they're staying soft. They're staying a little flat. They're not really losing the fat, because they're going and doing these intense workouts, and then they're not blending their diet to match their training, right? Mm-hmm. So, a lot of what we talk about to people is like, keep your toxic load down as much as possible, and everything else in your body is going to work the way it should, right?
Hey, JW, say that again. Say to keep your that is so. Say it again.
Keep your toxic load down, right? And basically, all that is just what we're talking about. That's eating the whole foods and staying away from the processed foods, right? Because you can go on YouTube and look at videos. You can see they put cameras down in people's stomachs, and you can see if you eat. Let's say. I see a lot, guys will go to Walmart, buy a ton of food. They're buying like the boxes of the ramen noodles. They're just trying to get all the calories in for super cheap. Your body's not going to digest that properly.
Yeah, they put a camera on someone's stomach, and they had like a blue drink and like ramen noodles. And then the other meal was like homemade, like wheat noodles and like water. And they put the camera in their stomach. And shortly after, the real food was digested and all gone. And hours later, you can see everything was like blue, and there was like pieces of the ramen noodles floating around. So it wasn't digested.
So you're not even absorbing the nutrients, right? So like I said, with the strong, probably put a little bit with powerlifting too.
I think it's just as bad as with
powerlifting. But they try to use their sport as an excuse to be fat, and I'm going to say it blatantly like that, because that's what it is. Instead of being like, no, I want to be an optimal performance. So, what do I need to do that, instead of like creating all these food addictions for themselves? I see the guys I train with all the time. I mean, they're big dudes, they're big, strong dudes. Yeah. But I got like one guy, he will not, he almost tries to build his belly to get as big as possible, because he thinks it helps him in his training, like for an actual clean and press continental press. He thinks the bigger and fatter his belly is, the better he can sit that weight on his belly. Right, and it's just like, man, I see where your logic's at, but I care about you, and I want you to be healthy and do this for a long time too, right? So
that's the ultimate key, right?
Yeah,
that's the ultimate key. We want our blood. How many people out there are doing blood work?
Man,
on a regular basis.
One of the first things I coach. One of the first things I tell, I'm like, go get your diagnostics done on your body. Let's see what's going on. Then I can tailor your nutrition to you. That's going to benefit you even more.
I do it 4 times a year. I get blood work done, and the whole panel, just to see how everything's going.
Last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so important. People, I'm telling you, I'm so grateful I came across you, Valerie, because you led me to your beautiful husband here, and you guys are fantastic. Yeah, I'm
Great.
gonna. See, JW is my new man crush. I like his ink. I like his size. I'm ready to go. But no, I love the stuff that you're spitting out here is so important for people to understand because it really is our health.
Yeah.
Right? You could
Right.
go be the best strongman competitor you want and be 490, 500 pounds. How's that going to do longevity wise? How's that going to do when you want to play with your kids later down the road 20 years from now and your heart from pumping all that blood through 400, 500 pounds is now gone?
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Because it doesn't matter, and bodybuilders even talk about this. It doesn't matter if you're 300 pounds. Oh, yeah, but I only got 5-10% body fat. And during show, I'm at 0.3% body fat. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Your heart's still pumping blood through 300 freaking pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard on the system.
Yep.
And people don't realize that, right? I mean, I've been a big guy most of my life. Not necessarily. You talked about football. I actually played tackle football up until I was like 42 years old in pads,
Sweet.
right? In different leagues and stuff around, right?
Awesome.
I got injured and I let myself go from, I was always around 250 and built. And I let myself go. I got up to 325 pounds, dude. And I was 48 years old at my son's graduation. I looked in the mirror and I said, what in the hell have you done? Right? You let one injury and 6 years of time take you from a 42-year-old man that had, decent physique to this guy. What the hell have you done? And it's like, no more. This is over. So I just got myself back on the wagon, and it was amazing. I went over the last, I'll be 52 this year. So over those last 4 years, I mean, I've changed my body composition again. I feel great. I feel better than I did at 45.
Right.
Just by eating good food.
Right. Yeah, I think one thing too that it's kind of like breathing, right? I coach a lot on just proper breathing, which comes in very well with the strong, not just the strong man, but like any type of strength training, right? We want to get that diaphragm nice and strong, learn how to bring that breath in as deep as we can, and that's just going to make you so much stronger. But what it does is also brings oxygen to the body, right? So people just don't even breathe right, especially dudes. We're bigger up top. We get that neck breathing going. It makes us not sleep better. We're not sleeping, then we're not recovering properly. So like with nutrition, that's one thing we're doing all day, every day that we take for granted, and so it's either going to really, like you're saying, it's going to take you down that bad path, even though you're like, oh, it's just food. Like, I still kind of look good, or, you can look at it like, no, this is one thing that I have full control over that I do on a consistent basis. Like Matt was saying, you're only in the gym for a short period of time through the day. The rest of it, you should be focusing more on your nutrition, honestly, because you're doing it every single day. That's what keeps us alive, right?
Yeah.
So it's that important, just
I think
bringing
the
it
problem is like most people don't make their food a priority. Matt was saying how it's like it's really easy just to eat at one and then get busy doing stuff and forget to eat. Like you have to make it a priority or it's not going to be good. I don't know about where you guys live, but where we live, there's basically nothing that's convenient that's healthy. Every convenient food option isn't going to be good for you. If you wait to eat when you're hungry and you eat off of convenience, you're not going to eat optimally.
No.
I think that's really important.
So
for people to understand.
we coach meal prep a lot.
Yes.
And that's what we do every week. Religiously.
What we're doing today.
Yeah, we meal prep, because that's the only thing that keeps you on point.
Matt actually just, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, in his little newsletter that he does, that was the focus of it was, listen, you want to make your life easier. You want to get the foods that you need. You prep those things and you have it set up, and here's how you could do it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
that's good, man. Yep. Put that out there, right?
Yeah, no, and it's really, everybody makes such a big deal out of it. Oh, it's so hard. Oh, it's so hard. It doesn't have to be.
Right.
It doesn't have to be. And it's
right.
that difficult. And it's just I would rather sit on TikTok for another extra 2 hours, or I'd rather, consume some some entertainment that's lining somebody else's pocket instead of making your health better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, everybody has choices. You can make that choice to go and do that, but you also can't complain about what you're not doing.
Right.
Yep.
Well, guys, hey, we've been at this. I think we spit out some really good information today. Matt, I want you, any final words, any things you want to get out there, hit us with it, brother.
Yeah. So one thing that, I've been big on lately is positivity and bringing that big Deke energy. And you know what? You can translate that to training, to nutrition, and you're going to get out of it what you put into it. And so if you refuse to buy into the topic that health matters, that's cool too. I'll see you at 60. But if you at the same time understand that a few minor changes could extend you 10 years and make you train better and make you live a better, happier life, smile more, guess what? It's probably worth it. So that's
100%. JW and Valerie, what you got? What do you want to end this on?
As like the woman's perspective here, I would say I would want to encourage every woman to try it. I think a lot of women, they look at what I do and they're like, oh, that's so cool, but I could never do that. And I'm like, I'm not a naturally strong person. I started at the bottom. I train women who their first day, they're stronger than I was like a year in. So I'm like, I'm not special. I just had to work really hard. And whenever I train people at the gym, I'm like, do you want to do the stones? Do you want to do the log? Like, you can do anything you want to do here. Like, don't be intimidated by it. Like, you can do it. So I just like to encourage women to just try it and learn it. And it'll give you so much confidence. And it won't turn you into a man. Unless
Real
you think
quick. No, Val, you're a beautiful lady. Real quick before JW goes, what Valerie's saying, don't be intimidated by the gym. I'm going to tell you right now, you go in the gym and you see these guys and you're like, oh, they're in shape and I'm out of shape and I feel embarrassed and intimidated. Most of those guys that are in shape, if you guys or women, you go up and you ask them a question, most of them will help you out. There's some douchebags. There's going to be those people, but most of us in the gym, come ask. We'll help you. We will help you. We want to see you get better.
Real quick, before you close there on that intimidation, there's a girl that trains at our gym. There's two girls that train in our kind of group. One of them had just hit a 500-pound deadlift and has almost a 600-pound squat, and she weighs under 148. Okay,
whoa,
nice. So that's intimidating as all hell when you go in there and you don't even have those numbers.
Yeah,
right.
Second, the other girl that trains there just finished second in Miss Physique Olympia. And so women's bodybuilding. I don't want to miscategorize.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's in there training, wearing, typical what fit women wear, and she's jacked, completely jacked, and she trains harder than anybody. And it's very intimidating. Like, oh man, I look like the doughboy compared to her. But she's a nice person. You go and talk to her. Next thing you know, 30 minutes gone by. Oh, shit, I got to do my next set. Nicest people out there. So never back down from asking for help or anything. Because 9 out of 10 times they'll help.
Yeah, no, 100%. JW, end this thing.
Since you went with a woman's perspective, I'm going to come at the men out there. I hear a lot of that intimidation from the men's side too, especially at a gym that we train at, a strength gym, right? They're literally, they're intimidated to come in there and train. But I like to give it more of a deeper value. I think as a man, it's your duty to be strong and healthy. You're supposed to be a protector. You're supposed to take care of your family. You're supposed to be a leader for your children, for other people, right? So now today in society, I mean, we're not going out and having to, collect things to build our own houses and fight in battle and to kill our own food. I mean, do take up hunting because it's awesome. But, what I'm saying? Like, the gym is our hunting and gathering as a man, right? So utilize that convenience of that gym for your mentality, for your body, and for your spirit too. And like I said, as a man, I feel like it is your duty to be strong. And no one wants a weak husband, a weak brother, a weak father. No one wants a weak person in their family, right? They want that man to be strong. So I just encourage men to. You don't have to be a competitor. You don't have to be like all of us and turn into a coach or be a competitive athlete by any means. I do encourage that because it is very beneficial for your life to compete, but just compete with yourself and take yourself into a better place by just making yourself stronger physically, and you'll have tons of benefits from that.
That's awesome. I appreciate all of you, and what JW was saying is very important, because our bodies are designed to do hard things.
Yeah.
And when we don't do hard things, that's usually when we suffer. When we do hard things, we're going to feel better, not just physically, but mentally as
Yes.
well. And why do we do things in our life, right? So for me, I mean, I know you can see that picture right there. That is my oldest daughter. She's 33 years old. She's the girl who made me a dad, and she sits on my shoulder when I do these podcasts for one reason, because when I was a young man, I was 19 when she was born. I was scared to death to be a dad. And she taught me that I could be a dad. She gave me the confidence. So now she sits on my shoulder to give me confidence doing whatever I'm doing, right? And I have 3 other children, but she is sitting there. That's her job, to give her dad confidence. And she does a great job of it. But I'm telling you right now, you guys, Matt, you talked about smiling. You know how I end the show. I always end the show with "Don't forget to smile." Why do I end the show with "Don't forget to smile"? Very simple. You can always find something every day, one reason to smile. There is someone out there that loves you. And if you can't find anybody, you look to me, because I'll love you. So I'm just going to tell you this, y'all. Get out there. You work hard, peoples. And remember, don't forget to smile. Thanks so much for watching or listening. Remember, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can find us on Facebook at Work Hard Peoples LLC or Instagram at Work Hard Peoples LLC. You can also find us on our website at workhardpeoples.com. Have a great day or night. Don't forget to smile.